good? Okay. I don't think this is it. Yeah, 145 subscribers.
That's right.
All the beautiful pictures I took. It didn't even want to keep the pictures, but we are live. We are currently live.
All right.
So, let me see. It says muted. But next day we have to make sure that we can hear ourselves. Oh, you can hear me. Mic check. Mic check. No, it's not picking you. Oh, yours is on. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Testing, testing.
So what's the first Friday? Was that like Saturday? Saturday.
Yeah.
No, I'm not hearing you at all. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
If you just talk regular, just talk regular.
All right. Let's see if this works.
Let's see. I'm not sure what the settings, if it even is a setting thing. Chat, top chat, we just went live chat. That's fine.
Hopefully this is picking it up.
Ours is on. Okay, it just blinked. Blinking. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, is that better just without the speaker?
Testing.
I charged them. I know they're charged. Should just be simple. Charge. So all it picked up was like just the short. This is conundrum. Mm. I mean, I don't, because it's only picking, it always sounds like it's picking up, like, this is as loud as the laptop goes.
Yeah.
It only sounds like it's just picking up, just bear sound.
Yeah.
This was something, that's why it says it.
I won't even pretend to understand how this works.
No, it's something. Especially like you saw they had practice mode, and it's like, what did practice mode do? Did it help or anything? True. And then I'll edit it, but I just sort of just do like the
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's one of those. I mean, but that shouldn't make a difference though, whether it was on and off before we did it. Oh, because I'm closer to the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Allow us to still be. We might just have to speak up. Just makes it sound better though.
Yeah, mine's it's like kind of flat, so I wonder if it's still trying to connect.
Yeah. Should be just as simple as just hooking it up in there. That's fine. You just have to be adaptable. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's closer now.
Yeah, we can do it this way.
Get a little closer to it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if it picks me up.
No, it's like. Okay, you do gotta speak louder though.
All right. Is this loud enough?
So it could also be just that the laptop is low, because in general this laptop sound is
Yeah.
not that good. So
I'll try to talk kind of loud, but not too loud.
yeah, I think we
Yeah.
should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, we'll just turn this down because we need that. So, okay. So, this is what it looks like now. It's kind of close.
Okay.
So, just fix the angle and then we'll get started.
Mm-hmm.
I know we want to be close to. There we go. I don't want to be forget. There we go. Good business. Okay. And you shared this link.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So, all right. Welcome to Apex Radio Show. All right, and
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you for having me.
Amen.
Mhm.
Welcome to the audience. Hey, it's your girl Indigo. If you don't know, now you know. If this is your first time, welcome. And if it's not, welcome back. All right. Anybody that knows Apex Radio Show knows that it's a free form platform. All right. You gotta be subscribed to us know when we go live, okay? And other than that, just, you want to stay close to the fire so you can know what's new, what's happening out in these creative entrepreneurial streets and, in these artistic venture highways. So today we have Travis Bryden, and I'm just super excited for this discussion because anyone that knows Indigo knows that I love libraries, I love literacy, and I love reading and sharing knowledge and education. And for those who have not embarked on the authorship journey, it really is one of those things where it goes from you have an idea to putting that idea into fruition and then actually having something that you can share with the masses. So super excited to learn more about Travis's journey. We're going to talk more about Christmas in Bethlehem and what it took to go from having an idea and actually bringing it to fruition, having a physical copy. So again, Travis, thank you for joining us on Apex Radio Show. And can you just share a little bit more about Christmas in Bethlehem and how it got started, how the journey got started for you?
Okay, well, this book right here, Christmas in Bethlehem, I wrote it last December. Yep, it was this past December 2025, because I was helping organize an event downtown at the St. Francis of Assisi Church about Palestine. Christmas in Palestine it was called. We were trying to highlight why Christianity and the Christian holiday is so important to Palestine. Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem, actually, which is in Palestine. And while trying to put together that event, I wanted it to be as family friendly as possible. Wanted to have activities for the kids, and included in the activities was a reading corner where we were trying to gather up some children's books. And I could not find any, maybe I didn't search hard enough, but I couldn't find any about Palestinians during Christmas time in Palestine.
Yeah.
So I called my friend and I was frustrated. I was just like, I've been looking all over the internet, can't find any books. I went to the libraries, couldn't find any there. And while I was talking to them, I started thinking about a story in my head, and I was like, would it be crazy if I wrote something? They were like, what do you mean? And then I kind of told them this kind of like quick idea in my head. They were like, oh, actually, yeah, write that down.
Yeah.
See what happens. And then I wrote it, and then kind of read it to them and one of the other organizers of the event. And one of the other organizers of the event, she goes by the alias Blue Hydrangea. She did the illustrations. She loved the story so much, she was like, yeah, I'll draw it.
I see that. Nice.
That's it. So, yeah, she did the illustrations. We had the first draft. I went to the Christmas in Palestine event. They put me on the spot. They were like, hey, go to the corner. Travis is going to do a reading. So I was like, oh, shoot. So I did a bit of the reading, and people liked it. And I was kind of shocked because it wasn't just kids there. It was a bunch of adults. And I was like, oh, what are they going to like about a little children's book?
Yeah.
They really enjoyed it, so I worked on it some more, and Blue Hydrangea kept illustrating. By our next event, which was Easter in Palestine, this is the original copy. It was completely drawn, and then I read the whole thing, and the crowd really enjoyed it, and they kept telling me, publish it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what that process is like. But it made sense, obviously people want copies, so I started reaching out to publishing houses. None of them were really getting back to me. One did, but they were like, we don't usually do children's books, especially about this. So then I started looking up how to self-publish, and I went on a website called Lulu, just because some local other children's book authors in the area recommended that to me.
Yeah.
And then it was hard, but I self-published it, and now got it listed, started selling copies, and now I'm technically a published author.
That too. Look at that. That's nice. So when you first, of course it'd be like, probably hypothetical or whatever, but why do you think when you went to look for this particular subject matter and like a children's format, or why do you think there was why do you think it was a lack of it? Where do you think the lack may have derived from?
It's really hard to say, because I know I was able to find other children's books about Palestine. Only a few, not too many.
Mhm.
And I think especially this about Christmas in Bethlehem, Christmas in Palestine,
Mhm.
it's kind of niche because people don't really look at Palestine as a Christian topic.
Yeah.
But it does have some of the oldest Christian populations on earth.
Mhm.
And there is a Christian population still in Palestine suffering
Yeah.
alongside the
Persecution.
Muslims. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think it was kind of a niche subject that people didn't really get to or didn't have the capacity to write, or maybe they just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
So I just,
Right, you really just stumbled across it just because you were looking for it, and then you saw that it was not available. It wasn't anything where you're like, I bet if I look, I'm not gonna find it, type of thing.
no, I figured I would find a ton, or
Yeah.
at least a couple. You know, I
Yeah.
thought there would be some, but
Considering the historical relevance and just like
yeah,
that's the place.
it is.
Yeah.
And,
I never really thought of it either. Like just even thinking about like being Christian myself, like it's, geography is like one of those things where like living in America, like you hear about a place so much, but I think it speaks more to American education than anything else, that if we were to look at a map, a lot of Americans wouldn't be able to point out some places. They just
right.
have an idea of a place and, like a generalization based on what they consume about it versus like actual grounded, neutral
Yeah.
historical understanding. So like when you told me about it, I was actually immediately interested. I was like, because that's not a perspective I think about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's partly why I wanted to write it. It's a bit of education too,
Mm-hmm.
making them think about where Christmas comes from,
Yeah.
where Christianity comes from,
Yeah.
and also what's going on right now, and the land that Jesus walked himself. What's happening in Bethlehem at this moment.
Wiping out historical, like just landmarks and all
Yeah.
types of stuff. Crazy.
So that's what I wanted the book to be.
And why do you think it was such a positive reception? Like,
People just thought it was creative, unexpected. That's what one of the Palestinian professors, he showed up and he told me he was very excited to see it because he hadn't seen anything like it. And he was very explicit when he told me he's someone that's been organizing around his people and what they've been going through for some time.
Yeah.
And I think this was just kind of something people wouldn't expect. When you think about pro-Palestine activism, you don't think about children's books per se,
Yeah.
let alone ones about Christmas. So it's kind of, I think it stood out to them.
Yeah.
And then I guess the way I wrote it, I wanted it to be celebratory, but also touch upon the reality of what's happening.
Mhm.
So it has a little bit of, it's a little, people would call it political, but
Or realistic, yeah, reality, like,
That's how I
anchoring in
view it,
reality,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like there are real world impacts, to what's actually happening. And I think the approach of it being a children's book, like kind of how like we were talking, offline about like Mr. Rogers and just how important it is, like to, what we put in front of children, like how much it shapes their mind and perspective, and it can have a negative impact or a positive impact. So I think with it being a children's book was such a good decision because like how you said you're like surprised like that like adults liked it too, but a lot of times to put something in a child's lens, like something for a child to be able to consume, and understand. A lot of times that lowers the barriers of even, getting under the political, like people might have an idea based on what they, what news station they watch. But, in the children's book format, it's like, that's like, okay, I can see it from that perspective, little less harm, a little more harmless or whatever.
yeah, and then I already write essays. I've written some articles, and that has its place too. People like reading those, but something about writing a children's book format.
Yeah.
It was especially fun for me,
Yeah.
and then also kind of like you were saying, it's nice to see this topic touched upon in this format rather than like an essay.
Right.
Which some people will read, but it's not for
But you're
everyone.
gonna read it. I feel like that type of format, like you're already going with your preconceived reasons for reading it.
Right.
You're either looking for someone to agree with you, or or disagree with you. But like in a children's book, it's like for the most part, you're not looking for anything to agree with or not agree with. It's just usually just for entertainment,
Yeah.
for children.
Mhm.
So I love that. So you had said that you were willing to share some of it with us.
Yeah, I can read a couple pages, give you an idea of what it's about.
Mhm.
So it's called Christmas in Bethlehem. This is title page, all hand drawn by Blue Hydrangea.
You
She
might
did
have to
a-
project.
Yeah.
We're still not sure what the sound is doing.
It's all some audio issues. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's all hand drawn by Blue Hydrangea. That's her alias, not her real name. Yeah, and I think it's beautiful because it really brings it to life. This right here is a little girl. She's the main protagonist of this book. Her name is Basan. You may have heard that name before. It's a fairly common Palestinian name, but there's also a wonderful journalist in Gaza named Basan Houda. And seeing that name kind of inspired me to name her. So, first few pages, it is Christmas time in Palestine. Basan is so excited that she can hardly sleep. This is the first year Basan finally can make it to the Mass of Nativity. She could not go before due to solidarity measures with Gaza over the past 2 years. Basan asked her mother to take her to church. Is it finally time yet? Please, let's go. This is the mother speaking. Patience, Basan. We will head out soon, dear. Basan's mother gathers up her baby brother, Zayed, and they begin to get ready to head out. As they begin to prepare, Basan notices the family photo with her father in it. Will Baba be with us this year? And this is her mother responding, no, dear, not this year. Basan starts to cry. When will they let him out so he can be with us? I don't know, dear. Hopefully soon. Now don't be too upset. He wants us to have a good time. Let's focus on the celebration. They begin to walk towards the church. They see some lights and decorations, but also across the street some soldiers stopping people in the distance. They have their guns. And I'll read a couple more pages. They walk towards the Church of Nativity. So for you wondering what the Church of Nativity is, so is Basan. Why is the celebration out here? Her mother answers, why, that is where Jesus himself was born, dear. And I guess I'll stop it there, so I don't spoil the rest, but yeah, it's kind of a journey of a little girl named Basan. She's living in Bethlehem. She wants to celebrate Christmas, and how they celebrate Christmas is they often go to the Church of Nativity, which is a church built on the ground where they claim Jesus himself was born. That's apparently the spot. And Basan's a very young girl. I would say she's probably about 4 or 5.
Okay.
And for the time that this was written, after the genocide in Gaza began in 2023, a lot of places in Bethlehem canceled their Christmas celebrations in solidarity. So this was a couple years since the genocide began where they're finally starting to celebrate again. So she's finally old enough to go to the celebration. So this is her first time that she can remember.
Okay.
Maybe she went as a baby, but
yeah. So they're a Christian family.
yeah, they're a Christian family.
It's their
living
first time celebrating it.
Yep, going to the Church of Nativity, and she's wondering why are we celebrating there? What's so significant about it?
Yeah.
Her mother explains to her that's where Jesus was born. And the rest of the book is kind of a shockwave to Basan, because it's something she hadn't really thought about. She's like, wait a minute, Jesus, he was born here in Bethlehem, like me and my family, basically, is her perspective. And then it's just her exploring her own identity and her faith as well, and also trying to balance that with the situation they're in, the occupation, because the father is not present. He's in a prison, an Israeli prison. So
is he a political prisoner, or is he just
well,
gotta read it, huh? Left me on a cliffhanger.
yeah.
Okay. Wow, no, that's, even just a little bit, like I can see how, like, and then putting it in Basan's, at her level, and then she's the protagonist, like you said, so just going through it from a child's perspective. I think that's what honestly gets lost a lot with political discourse, it's like, okay, it's, it's cute to have your, your colors and your, your side or whatever. But like a lot of these things that we just so flippantly say, just based on our, perceived alliances or allegiances, politically, it's like it has real world impact on women and children and families and their ability to, you know, have dignity and live with self-respect and, autonomy and stuff. So like, yeah, when you told me about it, I was like, huh. Because even as when you said it, like even the title is a little bit, it catches you, off guard. You're like, huh, Christmas in Bethlehem. You never really just kind of put it together. Like it always seems like a far off thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Jesus in the manger, cute story, especially in the American, experience. Like, like some Americans would really see it as an singularly American experience. Like Bethlehem is in the United States. It's not.
Right.
like he would have been someone that, the ice cubes would be taken away, like if he wasn't here the right way, type of thing. Like I don't think people really like think that deeply into some of their decisions. So
no, and I really wanted to explore her perspective, just because she's just a small child. She just wants to celebrate with her family.
yeah.
But unfortunately, due to some bigger political factors, it makes it difficult. Um, and I also want to explore the kind of idea that her own ancestors may have actually met Jesus, potentially. They were in the same land.
Yeah.
And her family are still there. There's still people living there.
Right.
In this hugely historical, significant area in the world, and so many people identify as Christian.
Yeah.
And then, what do they do about what's going on in the land that Christ Himself walked? And that's why we did the Christmas in Palestine event, trying to get more Christians to care about this. And
right.
And Father Tim, he's the pastor of St. Francis. He's very pro-Palestine, and we're very grateful for his support. But I just wanted more Christians to kind of join the call and understand, a lot of the plight that people are going to over there is because of our tax dollars and our weapons.
Complicity. Yeah.
So just wanted us to kind of that connection, show them why they should care, and that there's a Christian, whether they're Christian or Muslim, there are people over there who are just trying to live their lives, and they're not so different. Despite the cultural differences, they're really not so different. They're just trying to survive like anyone else.
You're right,
So.
right. And you're religious, and I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, sometimes just living in the United States, it's kind of confusing sometimes because we're growing up in our education system. We're told like, oh, this country is built on these principles and these foundations of freedom, and and religious acceptance, and everything, and then just to come to find out that it's like that's more closer to propaganda than actually what we truly believe in as a nation, So like it's weird to be Christian, hear so many Christians like kind of other. Just a whole other people because of their perception of their religion, and everything. And it's like that's, if anything, like that's the whole shtick of Christianity is to treat others how you want to be treated, and lead with love and stuff like that. So it's very disheartening. Like, where does the message get misconstrued and stuff? Because you'll see some of on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen it. You'll see some of the comments, like just the most vitriol, like negative, bottom of the barrel comments. Then you go to their page and it's like Jesus is Lord. I'm just like, no, you take that out your bio.
It's kind of mind blowing.
Mind blown.
It's like the cognitive dissonance they don't understand.
It's scary.
They don't see it.
So like I love it. I love it because like again you're bringing it again, even me, like stuff like that matters to me. So even just having the disconnect being brought back to center for me, like wow, like this is actual spiritual warfare in all essence, like where it's happening, and then people having different ideas about what is actually happening in that place, because and truth be told, again, American education, I try to educate myself, but you would think they're all Muslim, you know, like in Palestine,
Mhm.
because you don't really hear the Christian aspect of it. So,
Right.
so with this book, what do you hope? What is the biggest impact that you hope that it will have with people who read it?
Well, one of the things I hope comes from this is I hope that other people read it and maybe they feel inspired to write something similar. That's kind of the hope, because I felt like there was such an opening for this subject, and maybe I could contribute to other people joining in. I also want people to understand, kind of like I was saying earlier, the importance of Christmas in Palestine, and just making those connections and thinking more about the subject in general. And I know it's kind of a heavy subject, talking about Palestine, especially for children, but we need to remind ourselves that there are many children who are living through it,
Yeah.
whether they choose to or not. They can't choose to ignore it. So we kind of have to bring this conversation to people, even if it's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
And I was hoping this book would be maybe a comfortable way to ease them into it, get them thinking, like, what is going on over there, and then how does this relate to me over here?
Yeah.
So hope it gets people thinking about it and thinking about the Palestinian struggle, and it's part of that cultural competency, I think. It's just another culture that's kind of left out of discussions here in America, especially. So hoping that this opens a doorway for more of those discussions to be had, and more Palestinians and their situation be included.
Yeah. Oh, it would be cool, and you could take this and run with it. We could connect some kids here, some kids in Palestine for however likelihood it is to be pen pals. That would be great. Around Christmas time, that would be super cool.
That would be, yeah. One of the activities we did at the Christmas in Palestine event is we made a bunch of Christmas cards, and a lady I know, she's a nun that goes over to Palestine. Her name's Mother Agapia.
Thank you.
And she had a friend who was actually going to Bethlehem early January. A lot of the Orthodox Christians, they don't celebrate Christmas on December 25th. They celebrate, I think, the second week of January or something. So he went over there with a bunch of the Christmas cards we wrote and drew, and delivered them in person.
Yeah.
So we could do an extension of that with the pen pal thing.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Man. I love a good cultural exchange. I think that, especially like, I don't know, I'm an educator at heart or whatever, so it's just like, even the practice of getting some kids to take a physical pen.
Yeah, right.
Write a letter, know what a letter looks like, and then put a stamp on it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like all of that. Just like kids, it's always great to work with kids because everything's so new and exciting for them, no matter what it is. But it's like there's reason, there's always like a layer of, learning behind the fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Like with your book. So okay. So we did say new author. So congratulations
Yes.
again. I don't think
this is the first book like I've written, but not officially. So this is my first official book.
Yeah, from signed, sealed, delivered, and in production, and then before we move on to like other stuff, where would people be able to like get a copy if they want to get a copy?
If you want to get a copy, there's a website called Lulu.com. They have a bookstore. It's listed right on there. If you look up Christmas in Bethlehem, or you look up my name, Travis Bryden, they should show up, and you should be able to order it. They'll print and ship it out. Usually it takes about 2 weeks for it to get printed, unless you expedite it, but that's a lot more expensive, so I recommend just
As long as it's here in time for Christmas.
Yeah. So you have plenty of time.
Yeah. So okay, so that's good. And so that's a new author aspect. So we also said you're a seasoned activist, right? So the global,
I guess so.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you've been at this for a minute now. You mentioned like ever since your college days and everything. So where would you say that your activist bone comes from? Who's your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration? That's a tough one. I mean, yeah. I had a few growing up. I mean, as you mentioned, American education is kind of lacking, so I had a very limited perspective. I was growing up around the time the internet was coming out, so I was going on the internet, but it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
Quite that overwhelming. But so I do that. watch stuff like the History Channel, try to educate myself outside the classroom too. And I think people that I was really inspired by growing up was like Martin Luther King.
Mm. Smart guy.
Yeah. I just loved his speeches a lot, and then kind of made me think about my own racial identity, even though we're obviously not the same race, but it's kind of a shared struggle in my opinion. Those were around the times that I remember Obama was running for president.
Good times.
That was an exciting time for me. And believe it or not, I was obsessed with John F. Kennedy.
I mean, the guy had Riz.
Yeah. They were people I really looked at growing up. And Malcolm X, once I learned more about him.
Right.
You know, he was
More
controversial.
complicated than we would be led to believe. Yeah.
But I felt like I understood where he was coming from, even though they didn't really want to talk about him in history class. I think they mentioned his name maybe once that I can remember. But he was another one where once I learned about him and what he grew up dealing with, I was like, it makes sense why he was that way.
Yeah, right.
Why he was more militant. But
Right. But what I found out was like, he, like, toward the end of his, like, you know, like, he started mellowing out, and then then MLK started being more like, so they were like, we don't know doing people do musical chairs, you know. But yeah, he went to the Mecca and saw, like, you know, the diversity and everything like that. So just had that expansion, and from there on, it was just kind of like he was more of a threat than he was, you know, being militant.
Yeah, and I thought that part of his journey was so beautiful, that he saw so many people from all corners of the world coming together for a shared belief. You know, there's something beautiful about the universalism of these religions. It doesn't matter what race you are. It shouldn't, right?
Absolutely not. Right. We are all expressions of our higher power. We don't create ourselves. We have a part in it, a fun part, but but we're not the end all be all of how we get here and stuff. So when I look into it, and it's like that with a lot of care, even like how you said, everyone that you mentioned, you know, they have this layer of complexity to them, where it just doesn't, once they stop fitting into the narrative of usefulness for the larger agenda, all of a sudden it's like you're a threat to, like, you know, this whole mass control thing experiment that's going on. I have no idea.
Exactly.
I have no idea what gets flagged on these platforms.
When I was in like middle and high school, those were kind of my heroes at the time. I was so political, if you can even call it that. I guess I was just like a regular, maybe liberal at the time. And I tried doing advocacy. I was in a very rural area, not a lot of protests going on. Not a lot of organizing, but.
I was the person with the sign.
But I remember I was on YouTube and I found a recommended video about Darfur in Sudan. Because at that time, and unfortunately now again at this time, there's a genocide. But at that time, there was the Darfur genocide, and I watched the video. And I remember I was so shocked. I was in like, I think 8th grade. And that was completely new to me, because you would learn about stuff like the Holocaust in history class.
Look at that. Oh, that's mine. Yes, thank you.
And to me, that looked like another Holocaust. What was happening in Darfur, and I was like, oh my God, history is repeating itself right now. And then that's when I started being like an anti-genocide activist, I guess. I talked
Which is
about
weird that it needs a name.
Yeah.
I'm against a lot of people dying for political reasons.
And I think that kind of opened me up to eventually when I found out about Palestine. You know, because once I really started looking into what was happening in Palestine, which I couldn't do in school because they never really mentioned Palestine or barely mentioned Israel. The most they would say about Israel is it's a Jewish state, maybe.
So a bunch of countries came together and gave them some land. And they all lived happily ever after. That was the extent of our education.
Pretty much.
Come to find out.
And then
people weren't happy about it.
Exactly. And then once I started learning about Palestine, I feel like I connected it to what was happening in Darfur. I was like, oh my God, this is like Darfur happening in Palestine. And then, and then I started getting more involved for Palestine. I made a few Palestinian friends, you know, and then started doing little protests here and there.
Yeah.
Nothing too serious. Well, I was pretty active at that time. It was hard because this was before 2023,
Yeah.
and
Shut down.
even a little before that.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to talk about Palestine.
Yeah.
The second you bring it up, even the most liberal friends you have who are pro-human rights, they'll be like, hey, be careful. Don't talk about that. Or, hold on, wait, Israel's our ally. You can't be criticizing them.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird.
And that, to me, that's when I stopped being a liberal, because it showed the hypocrisy. You know, where are these liberal values for this group of people? You know,
Yeah.
you're liberal on everything except this.
Yeah.
And why is this too far? So,
Yeah.
and it was very hard on our mental health, all of us, when we were protesting at that time. So, and then through the lockdown years, I would keep up with this, of
Yeah.
course, and feel awful. Every now and then I would try to go to a protest, but nothing. I wasn't an organizer during the lockdown period. I was just a bystander, and then come 2023 is when I got re-involved again, because I was just like, I have to use whatever knowledge I have to contribute. Especially the more you learn about just how tied our country is to what's happening there,
Yeah.
you realize it is our issue.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not just a random war overseas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's made possible by us.
We're actually an antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
fell in really
Yeah,
deeply.
We're not neutral, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you know, yeah. And it's crazy, like, especially when you mention the other ones, it's like, you know, trying to keep up with, if you just have a basic care for humanity and human life, like, it's crazy to me to even have different names for all of these different, you know, population destruction mechanisms, because to me it's like the same hand behind all of them, but they make it so that you got to pick and choose, you know.
Yeah.
Like, do you care about this group of people or this group of people? I care about all the people.
Right.
I care about even the people shooting the guns. I'm not going to hold you. You know what I'm saying? Because like, how's your mental health? You feel me? Like some people, it's just like, you know, on either side, like down to the soldier level, it's like, this is how I feed my family, or this is how I become a productive member of whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not really at that level, but it's people moving, you know, on the board and stuff. So, you know, even with Sudan, you just, once you stop hearing about it, it just becomes one of those things where it's like, oh, it must have magically went away. But it's like, no, like, you know,
No.
like a whole new group took over and started, you know, making the people's lives even more miserable, you know, just because and everything. And for greed to be behind it all, it's like so sad. You know, like again, the hand would be capitalism. You know, like capitalizing off of human life, and the bottom line is that's collateral damage, and you know, I don't know, and it's one of my soapboxes, so it's just like, you know, like it's like, not to get too deep with it and everything, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, geez, you know, like you could cry, you really could just have a whole afternoon of tears, like just for what, you know, women and children and people who don't even have a stake in whatever the win is, you know, for these conflicts and stuff. And there's no seemingly end to the conflicts, you know. So we've been an activist for like, and it's kind of hard to just kind of getting neutral information on this stuff, like staying in, you know, and ahead of it and in the know of it. So as far as like bringing you to present day, like how do you balance all this other stuff? Because you also advocate for, you know, against flock cameras, like surveillance and things like that. You're just a busy guy.
There's a lot of causes that are hard to me. The surveillance state definitely is a very crucial one for all of us. It's a threat to all of us. Regardless of what you're organizing for, what your beliefs are, we're all being spied on. And all of our information is being uploaded to a big central database that's accessible to law enforcement and federal law enforcement all across the country. So, it's the largest invasion of privacy in history, really, because of technology. It made it possible. And, you know, for those of you that want to learn more about Palestine, there's quite the surveillance state there, too. It's one of the most surveilled areas in the world. A lot of the same technology that's used in Palestine is being used against us. Because it's the same group of technocrats that are trading all this technology between each other So really, even the surveillance struggle, I see it being an issue of our struggles are intertwined. You know, they're up against the same beast that we are, and we should all be concerned because we see the results of surveillance. You know, what is it used for in Palestine? It's used to hunt people down
Yeah.
who are alleged to commit a crime. You know, like Bassan's father, we don't know what he did. It could just be an untrue allegation. But a lot of times when they go to court in Palestine, it's like some obscene number, like 96% conviction rate.
Yeah.
They just throw them in jail. A lot of time, if they even get a trial.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even get a trial. They just get locked up for years because they may or may not have been caught on a camera doing something. Maybe they were throwing a rock at a tank, allegedly.
Yeah, right.
And it's not too far-fetched to think that could happen here, that it isn't already happening here.
Yeah. I've seen some instances where it's just like, again, a little too close to home now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do we really trust the people in power with that level of surveillance and data about all of us? I don't.
Say no. Yeah, not from the character analysis that I've been privy to.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, these massive surveillance states are always abused, always, without fail. I can't think of a single instance where a mass surveillance state hasn't had some level of abuse.
Yeah.
Even if you introduce it for the right reason, which I'm not convinced they are.
Yeah.
But even if it is truly for combating crime, there are corrupt people who wield that amount of power
Yeah.
and they'll weaponize it.
Yeah. The definition of crime from criminals is anyone that's against us.
Right, yeah, and the definition of criminal could be anything if they want it to be.
Exactly. We can do crime, you can't, type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's not the world I want to live in. Absolutely not. You know, and then honestly too, like you're saying, like the way that their court system or justice system or whatever is being enacted, it's like when you look at history, you know, you see history repeating itself, and it's like a lot of times they use prisoners as like ad hoc chattel, you know, they're considered slaves, you know, so low key it's like the step back into slavery of mass humans, you know, bodies and stuff like that, because you've lost your freedom, your autonomy, you know, now you have to go somewhere where someone says you go, by definition, you know, slavery, like now you profit the state without having the ability to, you know, take care of yourself and your family, and you know, and then minority populations, you know, in the United States for a large amount of time has, you know, like been experiencing that, like, but under the, you know, under the radar, the guise of, you know, oh, you know, don't do crime and you'll be okay type of, you know, like you must have did something to get in there type of thing, versus the system is really pushing, like, you know, massive amounts of people to privatize incarceration and monetizes bodies being locked into a cell, you know, not just crime is what you do because you kind of thing, you know. So like, yeah, you just see, like, it's crazy because whatever people allow is what eventually consumes them, you know. Like it's like, oh, it's good for this set of people, but if you really think it's good for that set of people, best believe that same mechanism is just being tested on this group of people because they're the undesirables. Eventually, the capitalizing, it's going to need more consumption, like it's going to, you know, like it's going to consume you too, and that's the part that's kind of head scratching for me. Like when people say this stuff on Facebook, like, oh, you know, homelessness, oh, just get a job, or don't do drugs, you know. It's just like, do you realize, like, the persecution that this group of people are facing is being tested on them just to be...
Yeah, you're not safe from it.
You're
no,
not.
people...
Whatever you think is okay for a group of people, the system just reads it as, you clearly are complicit, you think it's okay, so it must be okay for you eventually when we expand our systems to encompass you as well, you know, as chattel, because you think human chattel is okay.
Right, yeah. No, it normalizes it. I mean, it's just like, bring it back to Palestine a bit. You know, you watch a live stream genocide for years, and if you just keep letting that happen, that normalizes those atrocities, and then you're going to see it elsewhere. It's not just going to only happen in Palestine. We see atrocities all over the world right now. We see an increase even in this country. And then you can't allow any group of people to be that dehumanized.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to bleed out. And you may think that you're safe from it now, but you could very well be the target down the line. And a lot of these people that are making those comments, they're not they're not billionaires, they're not
Mhm.
safe. A lot of them are a couple paychecks away from being out in a tent
Yeah.
on the street themselves, but they think they're safe.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's the scariest mindset.
mhm.
Like that allows it to go too far past the point of like, oh shit, you know, like to almost the point of no return, where it's just like your lack of empathy has allowed it to get to the point where majority
Mhm.
of us do not have any type of like safety net, you know, and you thought you did. It is gonna happen, and I think that's like the scariest thing in the past like
Mhm.
year or so, like people that don't fit the description of being persecuted, just having that sense of this shouldn't be happening to me,
Yeah, I know.
and why
Yeah.
not?
Right.
Why not you?
Yeah, it's
You
okay
know?
for all those other people, but now you're yeah.
Yeah, the others. I'm not this. I'm not that. And let's just throw crapshoots here. Maybe they weren't either, you know.
Mhm.
And you just didn't want to listen because preconceived discrimination. And it's like, yeah, man, it's getting to that point. And you know, again, the minorities. Where you know, like I have seen posts where it's just like, you know, where are the black people?
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, no, this is, you know, like, no,
Mhm.
no, like, nothing's changed for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the party.
Mhm.
Like,
No, that's why people need to see their struggles as intertwined. You know, this
Yeah.
whole separation. Yeah, that's why we do talk about Palestine. That's why we do talk about the homeless.
hmm
You know, just because we're people, we need to see that all of us are struggling in some way due to this system, some more than others, obviously.
yeah,
But it's really not for our benefit,
no,
any of
no,
ours. You may be doing well now, but as we see with the diminishing conditions in the U.S.
mm,
in Binghamton, right? It's
Yeah.
getting more expensive to live. A lot of people, I've met people that are living on the street that are working.
yeah, yeah,
So you have a job and yet you're still homeless. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
that's a problem, like, really needs to be analyzed beyond just talking points.
Yeah. So
Like, where
it's,
people are lost of life, like we had with the Night's End, you know,
Yeah.
like, and then I mean, and then the loss of life that's not even deemed worthy of a news clip, you
yeah,
know,
people
like
that I
that don't
hear
even
about,
get spoken about, you know.
yeah, they find a dead body at a park somewhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
even make the news.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't have Mexican or they didn't have any values, you know, to the system at large. So
Yeah.
just John Doe, Jane Doe type of thing. It's like,
Mhm.
no, one is alarming. Like, you know, get to
Yeah.
that point where it's like we don't need 5, 6, 10 before people are like, wait, hold up, like one, what's going on? You know, what happened with this person? You know,
Right.
that's the type of accountability I would prefer.
Yeah, and even bringing it back to surveillance, it's amazing
Mhm.
that we see all this happening, all this suffering, but what are they funding? You know,
Right.
more cameras?
Right, and then I thought you were gonna take the point where it's just like we have all this surveillance, but then we don't ever have the answers for the stuff we'd like to have answers to.
Right.
You know,
No.
it's like
Mhm.
you want to catch the people that are, you know, you want to protect the state interests or the corporate interests. Like someone breaks a glass to a storefront. That's the type of crime, you know, that you want to, and not to whatever, you know, whatever to that, you know what I'm saying? But like human crime, like how did this person just die out on a bench somewhere? Like, can
Mhm.
we backtrack that? We have all the answers we need with all these damn cameras.
I know. Mhm.
We could solve homeless by just using it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like okay,
Mhm.
we have all this data, but the suspicion is, what are you using it for?
Yeah, is it going to be applied to better our lives?
No,
Doesn't seem to be.
at all. Yeah, like we still, you know, rent's still going up, and people are being treated like, you know, peasants for having minimum wage jobs
Mhm.
versus, you know, I guess whatever other jobs they deem worthy of a living situation, you know. So yeah. So with the so to take it back to organizations, can you share the name of the organizations that you work with, and then also too, like what you know, what you guys hope to accomplish, you know, because I know one of the hardest things in advocacy is like always seeming like the problem is just always there,
Yeah.
you know, but having what's your bright light?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yeah. So some orgs to look out for, especially for surveillance, there's Staff NY. You can find them on Instagram. Staff stands for Southern Tier Alliance Fighting Flock. You know, it's a coalition of a bunch of different groups coming together against surveillance,
Mhm.
because we see it as a threat to all of us. And bad investment, putting it lightly. And then for the Palestine-related activity in the area, you can see Binghamton BDS on Instagram and Binghamton Solidarity for Palestine on Facebook. Just all spelled out like that. And then there's going to be a lot more events related to pro-Palestine advocacy in the area you'll be seeing coming up this year. And what I hope to do, what we all hope to do, I think in these groups and any that I didn't mention, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge these struggles together, build a people's movement, and be prepared. You know, we have to organize. It's the only way we're going to survive.
Yeah.
Especially if, as everything goes downhill in this country, let's say it collapses. What are we going to do? You know, we need to have connections. We need to be prepared for that scenario. We have to build up a really good survival movement. We need food sovereignty. You know, who grows the food, right? We need to grow our own food. We need to take care of each other.
Water supply.
Water supply. That's another one. Electricity. Are people equipped to survive without electricity? You know, stuff like that. We need to start answering, especially as the system decays. You know,
as it is. Did you read Atlas Shrugged?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Amen. Look, good man. Yeah. Because I feel like, because I read that book at least twice, like, you know, and stuff for people. Atlas Shrugged. Look it up. Read it. It'll tell you about today. But it's just like, there's a point in that book where, society starts collapsing and everything. And the signs of decline is like, the regulations being lax and transportation becoming increasingly unsafe and, just people, you just start seeing it in the background. I don't know how long it's been since you read it, but
It's been a while.
Been a minute. Okay. But there's like certain points where it's just like, I read it earlier on and then I read it later in adulthood. I mean, like, I don't know, whatever. I read it once, it blew my mind, and then I read it again, and then that was like probably around like the early 2020s or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like people who've read that book, like they kind of can just take it all with a grain of salt. It's just like, well, 1 + 1 is 2. When you have the wrong people in position making groupthink decisions, then it doesn't bode well for society. But okay. And then where can people like find you if they want to follow up with you?
If you want to follow up on me, I do have an official email now for this book and for other projects I'm going to be working on. tcbstudioproductions@gmail.com. You can just look that up. You can also find me on Facebook if you just search my name, really. So those are the ways to get in touch with me directly. And then, of course, I recommend you check out those other social media pages.
And so is that primarily, would it be like, because, like this goes everywhere, but like, is it Broome County specific, or do you think like people from all over could benefit from following the groups?
People from all over, because it is part of obviously it is focusing a lot on the local area, because there's a lot of stuff going on locally that needs attention. Well, it's part of a national and really international struggle. Even like Staff New York, for example, like mass surveillance is everywhere. It's not just here. And they're hoping that by fighting back here and hopefully canceling some of these contracts here, that can spread to other areas and help others and get others to help us. And same with the Palestine groups like Binghamton BDS, well connected with people across the state and across the world, because we're all in the same fight against imperialism, against genocide. So even though it's a local group, it is worthwhile to follow, not just ours, but any other localized group, because they're all doing good work as well. And a lot of us are connected and trying to work with each other to change things for the better.
Amen. Right. Okay. Awesome. And then you also have an event coming up in November?
Hopefully. Keep your eyes peeled. That's why I gave you those social medias, because you should see some flyers soon. We're really hoping to have another Christmas in Palestine event, just the same way we did last year, as well as our 3rd annual Palestine Cultural Festival, which usually takes place at the American Civic Association. That one might be in November.
Okay.
But we should be finalizing that soon. There's a lot of Palestinians in Broome County, that you can come out and meet, and a lot of them are wonderful chefs. You know, they make really good food, crafts. It's really, really good events. And I'm also helping with a disability cup, August 22nd, 10 a.m. at Kennedy Park in Binghamton. Yeah, because that's another issue I'm passionate about, disability rights and justice. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it. It's like you're like similar to me. I got all these soapboxes. They're just like
Yeah.
it's like the magician tissue. It's like never ending.
yeah,
Ending.
exactly.
It's like pick a box. I'll stand on it, man. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I was super excited about speaking about this, learning more about yourself and everything. We met in the streets.
Yeah, we did.
met
Yep.
we met in the trenches and stuff. And I am, now that you're here, you have a home here at Apex Radio Show. Definitely come back with any updates or cool things or whatever. Like, you got so many hands at different pots. We definitely want to stay abreast of all of this stuff because, mainstream media, that's what I was telling you. Like, I was like, I feel like, everyone should have some type of stake in like their own platform where they can at least voice their own opinions and stuff like that, because mainstream media is just it's not hitting, like makes my head hurt. Like it's like all opinions, and stuff. But like stuff like this, where are you gonna hear about Christmas in Bethlehem, on the main stage and stuff, but building these networks and stuff. So hopefully everyone does tap in. It's like there's a lot of local stuff that's going on, but it's like a national, national issue. And so like the more locked in and connected we can be, definitely like the safer that we'll be. We had an encampment a few weeks ago here, as a response to some tragic, deaths of some, unhoused individuals, in temporary housing that died in a fire that, a lot of us felt like could have been avoided. And just one of the things that were said by the people leading the camp was, we keep us safe. So it's coming to that time where you want to lock arms with people that's doing cool stuff. like get yourself a copy. Definitely, I'll put the information of where to find the copy, where to connect with Travis. If you have like certain things going on in your area, definitely share in the comments. Organizations in your local area that are doing cool things, such as Staff NY and things of that nature. And yeah, let's work to keep ourselves safe, keep our neighbors safe, keep our fellow global citizens safe. We're all here on Earth and everything. And definitely hit the comments. Let us know what are you most excited about when you get your copy of Christmas in Bethlehem. And yeah, so I think without further ado, is there anything you want to leave the people with, or any takeaways?
Yeah, I think basically, obviously, I want you to check out the book, but also check out the different orgs, learn how to get involved for whatever cause is important to you, because there's no better time to organize than now.
Amen. Right. Now's all we got.
Yeah.
Now's all we got. Where do you want to be in the history books? Like you want to be on the wrong side or the right side?
Right.
Or sometimes the side that won, we can't really tell. But without further ado, we'll be signing off. Definitely follow Apex Radio Show. Excuse me. I got caught. If you want to know when we go live, subscribe, like if you might, and share if you care. Okay. So we'll be signing off. If everything goes right, I'm gonna press this button, and then we're gonna go off. We're gonna say bye.